very good evening and welcome to the Fourth Estate. Charles Mwangusha Mpagi. And tonight, standing in between the presentation of the State of the Nation address by the President, last week actually, technically, and the presentation of the budget, which I think is going to be on Thursday. What has been achieved in the last budget? What are the priorities for the government preparing to present the next budget? And does the budget make any meaning beyond the presentation of the figures? That's what we'll be discussing tonight. Let me introduce Melina Pletas Izama. Melina, very nice to have you.
Thank you.
And could you announce your hashtag again? Because we need to engage viewers in this discussion.
On Twitter, absolutely.
Yes.
So the hashtag for the show is #4thEstate, and my personal handle is @MelinaPlatis. So you can send messages, comments. I'll be sharing some of the any reports, documents that I can.
Sure. And Charles Boji. Charles is a business reporter for NTV. Very many people have been watching you. You were analyzing with other people the presentation of the State of the Nation address. Charles, very nice to have you on this side of
Thank you, Charles.
the equation. You ask questions. Today you're going to answer questions.
Thank you.
Mm.
Well, I think it will be a very good opportunity to actually look at, being on the other side of the, divide.
And sometimes he's been called the revolution or the revolutionary political journalist. Chris Obore is investigations editor at the Daily Monitor and a member of this panel. Chris, very nice to have you once again.
Thank you.
Mm. I want to actually start with you, Chris, on this question. The budget for many people is nothing more than a ritual. But progressively you see government trying to lay out priorities. The priorities are laid out depending on where government allocates the most of its resources. The education sector, for example, if you look at the budget framework paper, the education sector over the last 2-3 years has seen its share of the budget dropping somewhat. But from the 1997 budget up to about 2010, the education budget had the highest allocation. Since the introduction of universal primary education, the education budget had the highest allocation. Previously, because of the war in northern Uganda, the Ministry of Defense had a higher allocation of resources at budgeting than other departments. Over the last about 4-5 years, the shift has there has been a shift to focus on road infrastructure, energy infrastructure, education, yes, health. Those have continued to dominate the top allocations. Even the budget that will be presented on Thursday, indicative figures from the budget framework paper show that the focus will continue to stay on road infrastructure, the energy sector, but this is also an election year budget. What is it you think Maria Kiwanuka will present different from what she presented in the last year?
Maybe I can't know what she will present because our budget doesn't follow the normal budgeting process, and that most of us are not involved in the budgeting process. It is nearly a presidential budget. The rest are just brought in to legitimize the process. So we can't surely know because the big man could change on Wednesday, 12 a.m. and say, put this in the budget. So it is not originated from our sub-counties. It's not originating from the counties that you know that Kumi this year has demanded for ABCD, and that's what we expect to see in the budget. It's not the case. Fort Portal doesn't know what will be. They're also going to wait. Ideally, it should have begun from Fort Portal, comes upwards, and then it's aggregated at the national level. Then you present this as a budget. So the budget we read is not a people's budget. It is a budget from the executive, and how they present is their own choice. But what I want to look at is, let's not look at the allocations of the budget. Of course, ideally, academics will tell you a budget is a policy instrument. It tell you direction where government wants, what government prioritizes. That's what they will tell you, what a budget is. That this year, the government wants to do a BCD. But borrowing from the previous budgets, I don't think it is so. When we look at, if you say previously, education has been getting the higher chunk of budgets. And even works one time go to about 1.4 trillion. Mm. The question then I ask as a policy student would be, if education took a bigger budget, what was the impact? Mm. We are at the same stage. If works took a lot of budget sometime, what was the impact? We are at the same stage. So that then
Would that be an honest assessment,
No,
Chris? Because if you look
can
at
can you let me develop this
road
point?
infrastructure, when resources were allocated, you see more roads have been tarmacked, more roads have been opened up. So would it be fair
You
to
see,
say that roads got 1.4 trillion allocation and we're in the same state?
I wish you could allow me to develop this point, because I'm coming to the real issue of this budget, why I'm passionate. What you see every year is the same road being said. Obongi, Popi, Kafu, where? Masaka every other 5 financial years.
Mm.
You can't say there is a change. You cannot. If you went to Mukono, Kampala, for instance, has developed to Nigeria, it has moved towards Entebbe. How many people in Kampala can say they live in tarmac roads? So they keep telling you the same main roads, which they have been budgeting for the last 5 years. Then you say there's a change.
But the roads are getting better, aren't they?
In the rural areas, yes, Maram roads.
No, the main roads,
but-
to say Gulu, to say
Gulu Road was
Mbara.
done sometime back, actually undergoing rehabilitation.
Yeah, but it
Gulu Road was
hasn't.
done a long time ago.
Has it resurfaced in the budget?
I don't want, yeah, it comes in the budget. I don't have to go into the thing of saying, you know, in 1986 we found it this way. I am examining, okay, if you have done the roads, can you then tell me the impact of these roads? To the economy, the lives of the people who use them?
Isn't that what we should be doing on the fourth estate?
And that's
to
what,
audit,
that's what I was,
to audit those allocations and move away from generalizations.
You actually stopped me on my track.
Mm.
I was telling you, if education took a lot of budget, what change has it created? If you don't know up to today, they are actually studying under trees. If you don't know, the teacher is still suffering as they used to suffer. They still have problem. So where was this budget going? In other words, I'm saying there is poor budget performance in this country. That's what makes other people think a budget is a ritual. That
Charles.
every year it is red.
Charles, people will allocate, will equate problems of a country or challenges of a government to challenges of converting people to Christianity. 2,000 years ago, people converted to Christianity. They still read from the same Bible every Sunday. They find new ways. Sin hasn't gone away. So problems of a government in budgeting will also always remain because you have people to take care of all the time. If you could run us through briefly, what are the major priority areas and what is being allocated, some of those key areas, looking at the budget framework paper and picking from the State of the Nation address?
Okay, Charles, maybe before I go there, there's something that I wanted to touch,
Sure.
which Chris brings to the fore, which I think our viewers might be interested in. You see, when you're looking at allocation, much as I appreciate the fact that sometimes there's a challenge on performance beside the allocation of the budget, is that some of these projects, like for instance, the infrastructure projects like roads, you know, they are long-term in nature. And you see, if money is allocated for a given financial year, sometimes you may not actually have that particular project materialize in the same financial year. Because, for instance, a major road works, if you to go through the pre-qualification process, the bidding and everything, I mean, 2 years have elapsed. So I think we need to have that at the back of our mind. And some of these projects are on one.
if you could help us
Yes.
understand that,
Yes.
which I agree with Chris on,
Yes.
is if you allocate
Yes.
100 billion to build 10 kilometers of road
Yeah.
from point A to point B, and you're going through those planning processes, the same road appears on the next year's budget. Does that mean the resources were allocated? What happened to those resources? If you go and the third year past elapses before that road is constructed, what happened to the resources you allocated over the last 2 budget cycles? I think that's where we get lost, because
Yes.
you'll find we used to have a traditional ritual. Gayaza's Railway Road. It will appear in one budget, the next budget, 9 budgets. The
Mukono
same
Katosi Road.
Mukono Katosi Road. It will appear in 10 budgets. You have Fort Poto Bundibujo Lamia Road.
Yes.
It appears in 10 budgets.
Yes.
You have Ntungamo Kisoro, Hoima Road, permanent fixture in budgeting. What happens to the resources that you have allocated to
No,
us?
no, I hear you, Charles, on that. Actually, I'm not saying that government has been quite effective, again, like I said, on actually following through with what it promises in the budget sometimes, especially on major works like roads and the like. But yeah, sometimes I think we just need to, again, on the other side, appreciate the fact that some of these projects take a bit of time, you know, to go through those processes. But yes, I agree, and I hear you when you say that certain projects have been, or certain works have been promised and not completed in time. But then going back to the question you posed, directed to me, if you look at the budget framework paper for the financial year 2014-2015, of course, again, if you look at it closely, they are the same priority areas that we had, you know,
in the previous budget.
In the previous budgets, maybe 2-3 budgets. You're again going to see a very, you know, big allocation towards infrastructure, and this time there is a very strong component of the railway, which I think is an inspiration we are picking with what is happening in Kenya.
Oh, the coalition of the willing, they call it the cow.
Exactly.
Between Kenyatta, Museveni and Kagame.
And Kagame, yes. Which to me I think is a good thing, because when we see regional powers now starting to pull in the same direction towards a particular project, crucial, like infrastructure, I think it's a good thing. Then we're also seeing some, again, promise on defense and security, which I think is, again...
They're also going to hit above $1 trillion shillings allocation in this budget.
And then I think also government is now responding to what is actually happening in the market, because if you remember the State of the Nation address, the President alluded to the fact that the ICT sector is now one of the fastest growing. It's at 15%. Now, if you compare it to agriculture at about 1.5% and manufacturing and services at 5.6%, then prioritizing ICT becomes, you know, a natural thing to do. The question to ask, though, is who are the participants?
We'll come to that maybe in the next segment.
Yes.
Melina, I need to come to you. I know quite a few people, especially those who do speak for the government, will want to have us for dinner tonight as they watch. Because they'll be saying, you see, they're talking about Hoima Road. That was completed. They're talking about Gayasa's Road.
That was completed. Credit to some of the roads. Some of them
but there are roads like Moroto Road that has been appearing recurrently on the budget. Since the government came to power, they've been promising to build a tarmac road going to Moroto. It has never been built. And cars are getting stuck. So to avoid that stick that we're going to get for the roads we pointed out too, there is a question of allocative efficiency. But if we discuss on this show tonight about what the impact, bread and butter issues. Boji is talking about percentages, 1.5%, 1.1%, 10%. It makes absolutely no sense to someone watching this show if they don't see those percentages in their lives.
Yep.
How can a budgeting process, how can a State of the Nation address these issues from a perspective where government is saying, this is what we're putting our priority on, this is what we're delivering on, and you can relate with it?
Yeah. Well, I think for, you know, one of the things that it's important to do in looking at a budget is within these different sectors, whether it's education, whether it's roads, health, etc., what is the priority within each of those sectors? So things like infrastructure, the progress is very easy to see. It's very visible. If a road is done, any driver on that road will know it's been done. They can tell their friends. It's very visible. In education, you know, a few weeks ago we were talking about the UWEZO report and showing that in fact education outcomes have basically stagnated. The majority of kids between the ages of 10 and 17 can't pass a basic P2 exam. These are things that are much harder to see, that ordinary people maybe don't know are happening, but you see that in the details of the budget, that the things that are emphasized are, for example, school infrastructure. If you look at health, it's health infrastructure. These are things that are visible, but it's not necessarily clear that that's going to lead to an improvement in human resources, in skills, in the kinds of things that would actually help grow the economy. In terms of, you know, talking about percentages, you know, the fact that the agricultural sector has grown by 1.5% is what the president said. You know, you can forget about the 1.5%. Basically, there's nothing happening. Like it's stagnant. So we need to understand why that is. And yes, we see growth in other sectors. The president highlighted a number of, he identified 4 key areas. Agriculture was one of them. But if you look at the number of people, or the percentage of people who are engaged or earn their livelihood in each of these sectors, the vast majority are in agriculture. So it's a huge problem for the ordinary person that agriculture is basically completely
What
stagnated.
does it mean if you have the bulk of your population employed by a sector that is actually not a key player? in the national economy.
Yeah, no, it's a massive problem, right? And so the president also was talking about, you know, the road to middle income status and the fact that the number of people in poverty have been declining. But the fact is that the income per capita has not increased a massive amount. So between, you know, in 1986, the income per capita was about $177 in terms of current or $2005, and today it's $395. To achieve lower middle income status, you have to get about $1,000. So we're really not even close to achieving the lower middle income bracket.
What has been happening over the last 50 years we've been budgeting? We'll pick up that discussion after a short commercial break. We'll be right back.